Hello, everyone. Anna is here, and it's Wednesday. Money Date. I'm glad you're joining me. Starting a little earlier today as I am attending a conference in Dallas, and due to some activities in the evening, I won't be able to come on later, but I thought I'd hop on and say hello. This is Good Life by OneRepublic, so I'm playing a little music. Hi, Josephine. Thanks for joining. Say hello. How are you guys been? I hope well. So, Money Date. Good life. Okay, so I want to talk about the power of automation. This is one of the favorite topics I'd like to discuss. Oh, hi. Thanks, Josephine. Hi, Kate. You were somewhere at a conference. But before we dive in, hi, Lisa. I have a couple things to go through with you that we typically cover on a Money Date. So Money Dates are once a week type of meetings where in the past it was really just me having a money date with myself. But I thought if I could have these conversations with you guys, it would make it more fun. And hopefully my tips and recommendations will inspire you to act, because I don't want you to just come on here and listen to me talk. I want you to take action. And that's the biggest, I think, result that's going to change your lives. So I'd like to start with a quote. That's one of the things that does inspire me. So actually what I do, I try to look up a quote every day to kind of have a theme for myself, something to focus my mind on, and hopefully I'll learn a lesson. So since our topic for discussion today is automation, I've got a very cool quote for you. Hi, Greg. Thank you for joining. And I hope you can hear me well. I'm using a microphone here on the side. Okay, here's a quote for this week. If you want something to happen, just ask. If you want it to happen often, automate it. So think about that, right? And I'm going to be talking about a couple of tips later today as far as automation goes. And you guys probably know, because I'm a big proponent of automating finances as much as we can, right? And automation means make things happen without you having to attain to those tasks, right? Because we get so busy and miss on important points. Okay, so with finances, I always advocate for automating your spending, right, or tracking of it, automating how your expenses are paid. And I have a whole course teaching how to set something up, how to have a system that you can actually track easily and know where you are, right? But today I'm not talking about that particular topic, but still automation, because I feel even personally that it's overwhelming at times. And if I just had somebody do it for me and I could just check, I think I could be much, much more ahead. Now, I'm not by any means a perfect person. I still try and figure out a lot of things that I can automate and outsource, because then I can spend my time doing something else, right? Doing other activities that are more rewarding, more satisfying to me. So that's kind of what I want you to do. But also there's some of tasks, and it could be anything, right? I'm not talking about particularly finances, but everything that we do in life relates to our finances. But it all kind of comes back. It's like a circle that you can never escape. So here's a couple of things before we kind of dive into those tips. Now, for those of you who are joining me for the first time, a money date. So here's what we typically discuss on the money date. And it's not just talking here today. It's really because Money Date came out of this concept of where you have a system that allows you to track your finances, and it's automated. You know where everything is going, but you need to be checking in. So there's 3 things that I check in with myself, right? And I'm advocating for you to do that once a week, okay? And those things are spending. And I hope you know where you're spending your money. And these days, it's pretty easy to figure out. If you haven't figured it out yet, set up a system like Mint.com or Quicken. It's an aggregation platform that allows to put all of your spending together and you're gonna know within a month where everything is going, right? Because sometimes it's hard when you have a credit card that you're using, you have a checking account, and you're paying bills, and so it's not really in one place and gives you that. So we need to know what the spending is, because then you will also start tracking your income, right? For some of us who are on variable income, it's like an exciting event, right? When you're tracking and understanding what your income is, because then that's how everything happens. For those of you who have more of a steady paycheck, you're getting a W-2, and then your income is every 2 weeks, every week, or every month, that's a little different, but still you have to know what's going on, right? And it's almost to a point where if I can ask you a question once a week, how much money did you spend? How much income did you generate? And my last question is, what was your savings goal? You better be prepared to answer those questions. And so we are at the end of the month, right? Tomorrow is the 31st. So we better be preparing to start the new month and have a report to us. So Money Data initially was just a quick get together with myself, and then I started doing it with my husband about those topics, right? Because when you have a partner involved or significant other, or even if you don't have one of those, you have an advisor like myself, you got to be able to report, right? It's the clarity and not having anxiety comes only when you have a really good idea. It's that power of knowing, okay? So if you're here for the first time, this is what I would like you to start focusing on, okay? There's a couple money dates that I've recorded in the past that talk about all of these different areas. So go back and listen to those. I have a couple Daily Juice episodes as well, just to kind of get you caught up on what we're doing here. But the very simple idea, start tracking and figuring out what's going on. And then once you have the basics down like that, it doesn't go away. What I'm trying to do is just make it easier for you to think about it, right? But today I want to talk about automation, okay? It's a really powerful word if you think about it. Now, something else I do, and you guys, for all of you who joined, I would love for you to type in the chat and let me know how your week has been, but not just good or not good or just, just a normal kind of response. What I'd like to know is what kind of money wins you've had for the week, okay? And I'll share mine in just a sec, but it's really starting to recognize that there is a positive side to our finances, that there is, it may not be just dollars increasing or savings increasing in your investment accounts or you're spending less. That's all fine, but actually starting to appreciate and see sort of, I can almost say like a big picture of what's going on. And I translate that a lot into the goals I accomplish for myself personally, for my business, or anything. So I'll share with you. So while I'm sharing mine, I would love to know what is your money win for the week. So I'm attending a conference in Dallas this week, and it's a big conference for financial planners, because that's what I do in my day job. I'm a financial planner, and I focus on working with clients on helping them sort of put all of their lives together and help them achieve their goals. And so this is our annual conference. And the theme here is that a lot of advisors here work with younger clients, right? Because financial planning traditionally wasn't available to the younger generation. So that's Generation X and Generation Y. But it's interesting because those people need as much help as our baby boomers, right? Those who have accumulated money and need help, because it's not, you need help all the way. It's not when you have lots of millions of dollars, you need to figure out what to do with them. There's lots of decisions you make before you get there and how you get there. So this is a conference that I'm attending this week here in Dallas. I haven't been able to get out of the hotel much because we've been in sessions and all kinds of stuff, and I was speaking. But my biggest win was because our industry, my financial services, financial planning industry is so dominated by male. It's a male-dominated industry, just like sales. It was quite interesting to pull together an event for all the women attending the conference. And so we had a get-together yesterday evening, and it was just amazing to see how many women are sort of struggling or having, successes in their practices, in their businesses, and kind of, facing similar life, life events and everything as I am. And so I'm really excited because I had no idea this is the first time I've ever organized a little event like that at a big conference. And I don't work for the conference committee. It was just more of an initiative, but I am excited. I don't know where this will take us, but there's definitely a need for this conversation of how women's particular advisors can be better, can do more, and how can we have more women. So stay tuned for that conversation, but that's my money win. There's no dollars involved in this equation, but it's definitely a rewarding feeling when you can connect with so many people. And a lot of times, I think thinking about your network and the connections and friends that you have is much, much more rewarding than particularly, $10 more in your savings account. So that's my winning win for the week. Now, I am talking about automating your life today, or as much as you can. So I haven't seen my comments aren't rolling. Let's see, just want to make sure. Okay, let's see. A little bit slow on my end on the hotel Wi-Fi. So I hope my connection is well. I'm going to jump into my my 3 tips that I have for you today because I have to run off for the rest of the evening. But do type in the chat. Let me know what the money wins are. Or if you want to start thinking, if this is the first time you listening, if you want to start thinking about them, think about next week. We're going to come back on Wednesday, and you better be looking back at your week and realizing what has been good. You just got to give it a little more thought, right? It doesn't, a lot of times what I do is I look back at my calendar and I think to myself, what did I do? What was really awesome that happened? And that's how I come up with something, because you don't really focus on it as you go on with your day. So here's the 3 wins, okay? Or 3 tips to automate everything that you possibly can so that you can devote. So the idea here is that, can you find more time in your day to devote to tasks or activities or even work or free time for yourself so that you could do what you actually wanting to do, achieve your goals, have more work-life balance, whatever it is that you're seeking, okay? Now, the first one, it does kind of have to do with finances. So the first one is to enable alerts to know where you stand sort of financially, right? I am suggesting to have a structure of how to track your spending, your expenses, but there's more layers to that. So, and what I'm talking about here is most of us these days, I don't get a whole lot of mail anymore, right? It doesn't come through just a regular snail mail. So a lot of stuff I had set to be emailed to me, right? And so sometimes you could oversee very simple things, right? Maybe there was an email that you didn't open that had a reminder of something, or maybe a bill was due. So, and I'm not saying that you have to all of a sudden have your mail come to you again if you sort of like me transition to having everything delivered electronically. But what I'm talking about is actually setting up alerts, okay? Alerts so that they can be reminding you if there's a bill due, right, or it's coming up due, and if you don't have it set up on autopilot, that's probably a good idea, right? Or if there's a notification from like one of the lenders, right? Sometimes, like I've noticed a few times that there were, like, for example, credit cards increased interest rates, right, or changed your due date. So those kinds of things is that something that needs to be automated, and so that you could be reminded of it frequently. Now, because we're doing the money dates, right, and if you're just starting out, that's going to be something that will refresh, those thoughts. It's like once a month, and I'll talk about this next week, because usually once a month I sit down and do more of a, deeper cleanup of or not even cleanup, but really more of where everything stands, how all the bills will be paid, and just sort of do a short report to my husband. So, but that's something that you can do at the same time, just to make sure and check that all the reminders are set. Like one of the things that actually I've done for myself, I have a few credit cards that I don't use, and what I did, even though I don't use them often, maybe once a year, just to make sure that they don't go inactive, I've set up auto pay, right? So in case there is, and none of them have except for one, a yearly fee, but if there is a fee, right, and it just kicks in and I'm not for some reason checking, then the auto pays that are set up, they can help cover those charges, right? Because you don't want to miss, or as much as you don't want to do, miss the payment on a credit card. So that's number one, right? Set up alerts for yourself. We all have cell phones. I have mine right here. So obviously it needs to be reasonable. And for certain things, you can definitely allow yourself to have alerts. Some people work better with calendars, right? So set up reminders on your calendar. And then maybe you have just like a money date, you have a dedicated time when you check in on that. Emails work as well, just as well, but I would be advising against that, as my inbox gets clogged up really bad. So I would probably be better off, and I am better off with the cell phone and just getting reminders, and the calendar as well. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, how do we spend less without actually even thinking about it? And I mentioned this before, I don't track every penny I spend, right? I have Mint that does that, and I'm not focused on the small details, although they're important, but there are different ways and technology to help you save that. And I don't do coupon clipping. I've never have done that. But so I looked up, there's a couple of applications that I would like you to try out. So one is called Trim, T-R-I-M. Another one is Truebill, T-R-U-E, Bill, and then Bill Shark. Okay, so what these programs do is that they kind of like Mint, and Mint has this feature as well. I'm not a user of Quicken, but Mint I have been using for years. Because it's pulling all the transactions, it knows where you're spending your money, knows who the merchants are, and it starts coming out with alerts to sort of maybe give you a better credit card rate, right, if it sees that you're paying credit card. So there's a bit of that available in Mint, but these applications are actually a little bit more advanced, because what they're doing is they're looking through your accounts, right? So obviously you have to be comfortable and allow them to scrape the data. So in any of these aggregation programs, this is something to remember. It's never, the way that these programs work, they never really actually go inside your account, even though you're sharing your password, okay? You have to put your username and password to connect the account. And this is like the biggest question that all clients ask. They are really not. There's a system that's, the best I can describe it is like it kind of goes in and it scrapes the data. So it's, the passwords are not, even the companies that provide the service, they never even get a hold of your passwords. This is the same system that banks use, right? Because some banks now provide somewhat of an aggregation service if you have like a checking account, a savings account, and a credit card. So these are like things like you could look at your monthly spending and say, okay, you've been paying this one particular bill for a very long time, right? Because we do want to have auto pay for our bills, especially the fixed expenses. But what it does, it sends you periodic reminders to say, hey, you've been paying for a landline, right? That's one of the still, like, I think, unnecessary expenses many people have, but you've been paying for a landline, right? Or your Comcast bill, or whatever it is, your cell phone bill. I'm pretty sure you still need your cell phone, but is that something you still want to continue doing, right? Because that's like one of the things we just set up auto pay and we forget. So I like that. And then also, I think what they do, and I'm going to check these out more, is once they analyze your transactions, they can actually negotiate and offer you better rates for whatever it is that you're spending your money on. So, for example, if it is a cable subscription, right, or I don't know, wherever it is that you do have the recurring bills. So I highly recommend to track that. You can get these apps on your phone, okay? And hi, Lisa. Thanks for joining. Hi, Kelly. Hi, Ann. And my last tip is, and this is something I am dying to do, and I will do it once I get home. I actually tried this a couple of times, but just never really went through fully with it. But I keep reading about it, and a lot of people are doing this. Make your groceries come to you, okay? And it's like, in my problem, as I said, I don't have a perfect setup, but it's, when I go shopping for groceries, I just go. I kind of have sort of a plan in my mind what I'm going to cook, and I cook simply. I used to do a lot more cooking, but I just don't have the time. Or maybe the interest. The time, I can always find the time. So I know that I have to get sort of, simple things, veggies, meat. So I just kind of, when I go in the store, I just get what I see. And I manage to stay within the same spending amount every week. Now, with making your groceries to be sort of on auto delivery is a bit of a challenge for me, because I have to sit down and think about, what do I want to buy? Do I want to buy, and kind of make a list. Now, I've been talking to some folks, and it's like, once you make your list, it's almost like you can sort of set it up to be re-delivered every week. Obviously, you don't want to have the same kind of groceries other than your milk and bread to be delivered every week, but at least you sort of have a starting baseline. So Instacart, right? That's one of the popular apps and services out there, because they can go and shop at various grocery stores, right? Like, for example, I like Trader Joe's. Maybe you want to buy some things at Safeway. Where we live in the Bay Area, the Whole Foods is not that close. So I would love to buy some more stuff from Whole Foods. And so they could deliver from those different stores. Now, every grocery store these days has an auto delivery for groceries. And so the one that I've tried before was Safeway. But it just didn't work out. So because I don't want to buy everything from Safeway, right? If I could get things from Trader Joe's or even Whole Foods, that would be preferable. I like going to the market on the weekends, but that's one more activity I have to do. And Amazon, can I remind you that Amazon has everything that you actually need. So I am a big user of Amazon. I order pretty much everything that I can, except for food. And so they're starting to offer that as an option, okay? Now, with these 3 tips, obviously, right, the end result that I'm trying to achieve is to give you more time, right, more energy, so that you can go after what you actually working. And a good analogy, because for some of us, like, for example, in some of the work I do for clients is hourly work, right? Or a project. But if I think about this, if my hourly rate is $400 an hour, and it takes me an hour to work with a client, right, or work on the prospect so they can become a client, that's kind of what I'm supposed to be earning, right? But if I spend that hour going to the grocery store, right, for example, that's my last point, then I'm not earning that money. So think of it in terms of what else can you do, right, to get yourself out of those tasks. Now, it does not have to be always in monetary compensation, but more free time. Maybe you wanted to spend more time with your kids, or you wanted to read a book, or go to a yoga class. What is it that you can automate? Because if you really want it happen, and this is my quote at the beginning of the show, is if you want it happened often, it has to be an auto pay. So I hope you found this useful. And I have not seen any comments for anybody, but I still appreciate you for hopping on and joining me. I am going to, for the rest of the conference, thanks for all the love, and I appreciate you guys. So please, right? Hi, Ken. Thanks for joining. Go back, okay? Don't just listen to this and spend 30 minutes here, hear me talk. Go back and figure out what your spending is, where you are for the week. Right? We're almost at the end of the month. Go look at your income, right? If you need to make more money, this is what you start realizing. This is the whole idea I'm trying to get into you guys. Start understanding where everything is at, okay? I am going to take off. Thanks so much for joining me. This was Money Date, and let me know what questions you have. And it's also always helpful if you can share thoughts and ideas, or just questions you have, because that gives me a platform to come up with topics to discuss with you, right? Because I want to make this entertaining, and I want you guys to be learning something. So I was playing this song by One Republic, Good Life, right? And that's what we want. And money is a tool to allow us to live a good life. So I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for joining me. I will see you next week. Go live a good life.